Chapter 15, In the Zone. It's a very strange feeling, riding through a minefield, knowing that if some little glitch goes wrong and our vehicle doesn't give out the right signal, we'll be blown into particles, like Lanaya says. Not that it seems to bother her. She knows exactly where we are and where we're going, and has no doubt we'll get there in one piece. Eden is the center of the herb, she explains, tapping her nav screen. The zone surrounds Eden on all sides, so we can get to any latch by circling through the minefields. No problem. No problem? I ask, doubting her. I do it all the time, she says huffily. Don't you know anything? The way she talks to me, I should be mad, but for some reason I'm not. There's something about being a normal that makes you feel like you deserve it when a proof looks down on you, because they're doing you a big favor just looking at you, period. So I shut up and listen to Lanaya because I love to hear her voice, even when she's telling me I'm stupid. Also, she's so beautiful it hurts to look at her, but the hurt feels good, which doesn't make any sense, but I swear it's true. Proves. Billy Bismo is right. They're nothing but trouble, even if they are perfect. Lanaya, says Ryder, sounding very formal, may I ask what your guardians think of your excursions into the herb? That's my business, she tells him. I don't have to justify myself to a normal. Ryder seems amused by her response. No, of course you don't, he says, because you believe that we normals are a much lower form of life than those who have been genetically perfected. But I notice that you seek out contact with us. Why is that? Just for the thrill, the sense of danger, or is there something more? Lanaya scowls, which only makes her even more beautiful. I don't have to help you people, you know. I know, Ryder says, but you will. Oh, really? Lanaya says scornfully. How can you be so sure? What do you know about me? I know that in your heart you are brave and good, he says, and that's not a result of genetic improvement. You can't engineer goodness like you can engineer a perfect nose. What's wrong with my nose? Lanaya exclaims, touching it. Absolutely nothing, Ryder tells her, sounding amused. You're an ignorant old man, she says heatedly. You have no right to speak of such things. No right to say you're brave and good and have a perfect nose? Ryder chuckles and rubs his scraggly white beard. Wait, I understand. What you really mean is a normal doesn't have the right to speak on equal terms with a child of Eden. Yes, that's it, he adds, amusing to himself. You can't help but think that way. Superiority has been bred into you from the top of your head to the tips of your toes and into every chromosome between. And yet still you come to the latches, first to experience adventure and then to help, which proves my initial impression that you have a good heart, despite your breeding. All Lanaya can manage to say is, humph, and then she turns away and busies herself with the console, like she doesn't care what the old gummy thinks of her, except even a dumb normal like me can tell she does care. Ever since we made our escape, Little Face has been staring at her like he's looking into the sun. When she turns her attention back to the command console, he crawls out of his seat and edges closer to her, like he's afraid he'll get burned, but still he's willing to take the chance just to be near her. Chalks? He asks in his smallest voice. Without really looking at him, Lanaya asks, Is this child hungry? He's always hungry, I tell her. Tell him I have no chalks bars. They were taken by the mob. Tell him yourself, I say. How dare you be so impertinent, she says. I'm not being impertinent, I explain as gently as possible. It's just that Little Face wants you to pay attention to him. That's why he asked for a chalks bar. It's the only way he knows how to talk. Lanaya swivels her beautiful face at me. You mean chalks is the only word he knows? When I nod, she says, We'll see about that. Then she smiles at Little Face and goes, My name is Lanaya. Can you say Lanaya? Little Face crawls back to his seat, where he snuggles up next to me, hiding his eyes from the beautiful Proof Girl. What did I do? Lanaya asks, sounding upset. You did nothing wrong, Ryder assures her. He's a feral child. No mother, no father, no one to care for him or raise him or teach him how to be human. So he's existed much like an animal, without language. He thinks in images, not words. How strange, says Lanaya, sounding amazed. Ryder shakes his head sadly. Not strange, I'm afraid. His condition is all too common in the latches, and becoming more common every day. Suddenly, an electronic voice speaks from the console. Patrol vehicle approaching, it announces. Uh-oh, Lanaya says. She issues a command to the TACV. Evasive action, keep out of range. The taxi turns and picks up speed. What's wrong? I ask. Eden Security Patrol, she explains. We're not supposed to be here. No one is. That's why they call it the Forbidden Zone. Right, I say, feeling dumber than ever. If they catch us, will we be detained? Ryder asks. They wouldn't dare, Lanaya tells him, but I'd be reported. She makes being reported sound worse than being detained, but the way it works out, the taxi avoids the security patrol, no problem, and before long we're crossing out of the zone and into the next latch. The latch where Bean lives, if she still lives, which is something I can't stand to think about, so I don't. Of course she still lives. She has to. Bean wouldn't dare not be alive when we've taken all this trouble to get to her, would she? Something wrong? Ryder asks me. No, I tell him. I'm fine. Uh-oh, Lanaya says again, but this time it's not the Eden Security Patrol she's worried about. It's what has come out of the rubble to greet us. Vandals swarming from nowhere on their jet bikes, waving splat guns and forcing us to stop. And there, riding high and mighty on the biggest jet bike, is someone I know, someone I hope never to see again. Lottie Getz, boss of the Vandals, boss of the Latch. Chapter 16. In the Latch of the Vandal Queen. Boss Lady, the Latch Queen, Nails, the White Widow. Lottie has a lot of names, none of them good. Nails because she has special razors glued onto her long fingernails, razors that'll spill your red so quick and deep you won't even feel it. White Widow because most of her love mates don't seem to live very long. She has other names too, names that are only whispered, names that'll get you canceled if she hears. The first and only time Lottie Getz ever noticed me was the day I lost my family unit. And on that day, Lottie tickled me with her razor nails, looked at me with eyes of stone and said, "You've got bad blood, boy, and we can't have that in our latch, can we?" Now we're surrounded by her gang the moment we cross into her territory, like they knew we were coming. "Nothing to worry about," Lanaya announces, sounding almost cheerful. "They know me here." Before I can say anything, she pops out of the top of the hatch and waves a greeting. "I come to trade," Lanaya announces. "Let me pass." The Vandals rev their jet bike so loud it makes the air feel as thick as jelly, so loud you can almost see the noise shimmering. Exhaust flames scorch the ground, and the Vandals are all grinning in that hard, mean way they have, like they can't wait to hurt something. Lottie Getz raises her fist. When the engines fade away, she stands up in her saddle and stares hard at Lanaya. Most normals would be afraid to stare like that at a proof, but not Lottie. "What trade have you?" Lottie demands. Me and Ryder and Littleface are hiding in the taxi, watching on the vid screens, but even so I can tell that Lanaya is surprised by the question, like nobody ever dared ask her before. "The, usual items," she says, sounding uncertain. "Is there a problem?" "Yes, there's a problem," Lottie says. "Someone has been running mine probes into my latch. Probing is forbidden here under penalty of death." The jet bikes rev as if in agreement. "I'm not a runner," Lanaya protests. "I don't know anything about mine probes." "No?" Lottie gets off her jet bike, climbs up on the hood of the taxi like she's mounting a throne in her stab-heel boots, and stands eye to eye with Lanaya. All around, there's maybe 500 of her best and meanest Vandals armed to the teeth with splat guns and gut rippers and armor-piercing crossbows. If Lottie gives the signal, they'll fight until they win or die. That's the rule of the Vandals, win or die, and they always win. "What are you hiding?" Lottie demands. "Hiding?" says Lanaya. "Nothing." "We'll see about that," says Lottie, and with one hand she lifts Lanaya right out of the hatch and sets her down on the hood. On the vid screen, Lanaya's face looks astonished, like her whole world just got tilted. The next thing we know, Lottie is looking down into the open hatch. She doesn't seem a bit surprised to find us there. "Two choices," she says, smiling with her teeth. "Come out, or I'll firebomb this vehicle with you in it." We come out. Ryder first, then Littleface, then me. "I can explain, my lady," says Ryder in his grandest voice. "Don't lady me," Lottie snarls, "and don't explain. I see what I see," she says, looking hard at me. "And what I see is a traitor, a rule breaker, a latch runner." "Don't hurt them," I say. "They were just trying to help me." Lottie seems delighted to hear it. "Helping you disobey your latch boss is a killing offense," she says. "You knew that." I nod. "We all knew it," Ryder says. Shut your hole, geese. I'm talking to the spaz boy. Tell me, spaz boy, what's in my latch worth risking your life for? My heart is pounding so fierce I can hardly think, but I know if I don't tell Lottie, she'll slice the truth out of me anyway. My sister, I tell her. I want to see my sister. I get the idea Lottie already knows why I'm here, that she heard all about it from Billy Bismo. They say Billy was once her love mate, one of the few who survived, and that's why whenever there's a latch war, Lottie and Billy are usually on the same side. Lottie gets in my face, so close I can smell the anger on her breath, like the air after lightning strikes. Give me a reason, she says, a reason to let you live. Let me see Bean and I'll do anything you want. She strokes her razor nails under my chin. That's not a reason, she says. I'm begging you. There's a rule against begging, spaz boy. I decide maybe it's better to shut up. Lottie's just playing with us. She doesn't really care why we're here or what we want. You'll do anything, eh? She says, turning the idea around in her mind. That might be interesting. Let me confer with my warriors. The way Lottie saunters back to the Vandals, you know she rules the ground she walks on. We can't hear what her gang brutes have to say, but several of them nod and glance at us as they talk among themselves. A few moments later, she comes back to the Takvi. I, Lottie Getz, queen of the Vandals, boss of the Latch, task you with this. Find me the probe runner, deliver the vermin into my hands, and Spaz may visit his wretched sister. That is my ruling. Ryder strokes his wispy beard and says, But my lady, there may not be time. We must... Shut it! Lottie shrieks. Do as I command, old man. Bring me the probe runner. Do it or die. Even if we dared to object, we couldn't have made ourselves heard over the air-shaking rumble of the jet bikes or the ear-splitting cheer of the Vandals chanting for their queen. Nails! 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 They roar. Nails! 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 Finally, she rakes the cool gray sky with her red-cutting fingernails and fixes me with a pay-attention stare and says without speaking, I mean it, boy. Find me the probe runner or die trying. Chapter 17. Looking for probes in all the wrong places. The first thing Lanaya wants to know is, can we get away with disobeying? I mean, what's to stop us from finding your sister and then just running away? She asks. Ryder sighs and looks at me, like he thinks I'm the one who should tell her. Lottie will have my family unit under watch, I explain. Just by coming here, I've put them all in danger. We don't have any choice. We have to find this stupid probe runner. Some runners carry messages, but some carry things to trade, forbidden things, and Lottie has forbidden probing in her territory. She must have seen what happened in the nearby latches when gangs spent more time probing than taking care of business. She's an intelligent leader, Ryder offers. Brutal, but brilliant. If Mongo had been half as smart, he'd still be Mongo the Magnificent. We're back in the Takvi, trying to put some distance between us and the Vandals. I expected them to follow, but so far they haven't. Maybe Lottie thinks we'll have a better chance of finding the runner if she's not around. The trouble is, I've no idea where to start. I feel like I'm slowly falling down a bottomless black hole, and the more I try to get out, the deeper I go. The worst part is, I'm dragging everybody else down with me. We must think deeply, Ryder suggests. All of us, put our heads together and come up with a plan. The taxi rolls to a stop in a deserted area known to locals, and I used to be a local, remember? As the Brickyard. All that's left of the old buildings are huge piles of broken bricks slowly eroding into dust. Nothing lives here anymore. Nothing on two legs, that is. Even on the vid screens, the red eyes of long-tailed rodents wink like stars among the brick mountains. On certain nights, the blackest nights, the Brickyard comes alive with chittering that sounds like conversation, as if all the rats are trying to talk at once. I don't mention the rats, but Ryder notices me shivering. We'll think of something, he promises. Lanaya, my dear, do you have any thoughts? If you were on your own, how would you go about identifying a probe runner? Lanaya shrugs. I don't know. Find where to buy the probes, I guess? That's where I'd start. Excellent, Ryder exclaims. When the old man gets excited, his face looks younger, as if ideas have the power to melt the years away. It has the advantage of simplicity, he says, rubbing his withered hands together. And the best ideas begin with simplicity. Yes, indeed, child. I believe you've struck on a viable strategy. If we find a source of the forbidden mind flicks, we may be able to find the connection to the person supplying them, namely the probe runner. An idea blinks into my head. What if we pretend we want to trade for probes, I ask. Yes, Ryder says. Yes, make him come to us. Brilliant. And that's how we hatch a plan to become criminals and enter the very dangerous underworld of traitors who deal in things forbidden in the latch of the Vandal Queen. Lanaya takes us to Traitorville, where hundreds of merchants keep their stalls, and even the strolling beggars have things to trade. She's been there before and knows where to leave the tack fee and who to see. Let me do the talking, she announces. They know me here, she adds, with her beautiful nose up in the air, making sure that we never forget she's Little Miss Genetically Perfect. Traitorville is this crowded-up jumble of stalls and shacks and security shelters shoved together under the old sky rails. They say in the back times that trains flew through the air just overhead, trains that moved so fast they made their own wind, trains that went faster than the sound they left behind. It might even be true, but the trains are gone now, and all that remains is the old elevated track system. Parts of it fall from the sky now and then, but that doesn't stop the merchants from gathering there to trade and haggle and steal if they can. They say traitor is just another word for thief. I don't know if that's true exactly, but you have to be very careful, or you'll go into a stall to trade for clothes, let's say, and end up without a shirt on your back. I know because it happened to me once. Charlie, my former dad, told me I'd learned a valuable lesson that was worth far more than the stupid old shirt. As far as I'm concerned, the valuable lesson was don't bother complaining to Charlie. And, like they say, don't give up your goods until the trade is on the table. Naya leads us to the most densely crowded part of Traitorville, under the rusty metal awnings that provide shade from the naked sun, or protection from the acid rain, depending on the weather. The stalls display goods from all over the herb, boots from Latch West, velvet capes made by the famous beastie slave girls, ironware for cooking, every kind of edible, weaponry, body armor, exotic love scents guaranteed to cloud men's minds, herbs and potions and poisons, holos and 3Ds, cheap crib gear, inflato chairs that leak, expensive crib gear, inflatos that don't leak, thumpers and flutes, 3-legged dogs, it barks and it bites, but it can't run away, 28 flavors of noodle, and last but not least, chalk spars. First thing, Lanaya trades her earrings for a new stock of edibles. She hands Littleface a chalk spar, and almost before he gets the wrapper off, he's grinning like he's just been made king of the latch. Chalks, he chirps, clinging to her shimmering white gown. Lanaya! Chalks! That freezes me. I saved the brat's life for more than once and let him come along with us, but he learns to say her name, not mine? Lanaya gives me a look that says, see, I told you, but I pretend not to be annoyed. We've got more important things to worry about. This way, Lanaya says. I know exactly the man to see. She leads us to one of the larger stalls, where 3 lovely young women offer a variety of love scents. They make their pitch to Ryder, holding out their scented bottles and chanting, essence of orchid, essence of rose. Come on, old man, put it under your nose, as if they assume he wants to buy love scents for a beautiful young proof girl. Ryder waves them off with a smile while Lanaya gets right down to business. I must speak with your master, she says, keeping her voice low. Is Bender here? Bender is always here, trills one of the love scent girls. She makes a funny bird-like noise somewhere between a whistle and a laugh, and the man himself appears from behind the curtain at the back of the stall. When he sees who has summoned him, Bender's face lights up. My dear, he exclaims, what a wonderful surprise. They say fat as a rich man, because only the rich can afford enough edibles to make them fat. If it's true, then Bender must be very rich indeed. He wears the proof of his wealth like some men wear body armor, and he keeps patting his wonderfully plump belly as if to make sure he's well protected by his layer of hard-earned blubber. His face is as round as the rest of him, and just as jolly. Everything about Bender looks jolly except his eyes, which are small and bright and watchful. As he carefully looks us over, he fingers the many small gold rings that are woven into his silky black beard. I see you have taken a new escort, my dear. Did your text displease you somehow? Indeed they did, Lanaya says, offering no further explanation. She beckons to Bender, drawing him closer, which seems to make him more than a little nervous. I'm interested in trading for probes, Bender, she whispers huskily. Can you help me? Bender shrinks away as if she cut him. Oh no, my dear. Probing is forbidden in this latch. Merely to possess a probe means instant cancellation. To actually trade for them means even worse. Worse than death? Lanaya asks curiously. Oh, indeed. There are many things worse than death, and the Latch Queen knows them all. Forget about probing, I beg you. But surely a prove isn't bound by the same rules, Lanaya says, coaxing him. Surely an exception can be made for me. She reaches out as if to stroke the rings woven into Bender's beard, but he hastily pulls away. No, my dear, not possible. But you've made many such exceptions in the past. The traitor shakes his head so hard that the rings in his beard chime and all of his many chins wobble. Not for probes, my dear, never for probes. Anything else I'll happily trade, but not that. Gold, silver, gemstones, these I can provide, but not the other. Bender has been slowly backing up, trying to put distance between himself and the dangerous proof girl, but she won't let him get away. Lanaya finally hooks her fingers into his beard rings and draws him close. She whispers something in his ear. He nods fearfully, then whispers something back. Lanaya returns to us with a secret smile. Come along, she says, looking very pleased with herself. It's not far from here. She leads us behind the stalls into the darkest part of Traitorville, to the place where armored thugs guard each shack and love girls beckon from the open windows. You can buy anything in this place, from dice bones to a human life. My first impulse is to cover Littleface's eyes, but I know he's seen worse, like every child on the curb. Lanaya doesn't seem to notice all the wickedness and filth, as if somehow it isn't real to her, which makes me think that nothing in this world of normal is quite real to her. Maybe that's why she acts as if nothing can touch her, because she thinks we're all part of an exciting, entertaining game called Prove Princess Visits the Latch. Ryder glances at me and shakes his head. He looks worried, if not for himself, then for the rest of us. It's not unusual for people to enter this part of Traitorville and never be seen again. I'm about to say something when Lanaya holds up her hand. Be still, she commands. We must wait here while the Furies check us out. Furies, I'm thinking? What Furies? And then I see them, figures in black hooded capes, creeping out from between the shacks. It's not until they're close enough to touch that I notice the skull masks and the black daggers. And by then, it's too late.